the Lagos State High Court has convicted, suspended the Chicago certificate stories, never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
I was my magician, and she was meeting campaign with the husband, knowing that.
You should not feel happy because there is nothing to happy about.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Are you curious about what's happening in the world of politics beyond your borders? Tune into Global Review as we bring you the latest political stories from across the globe.
Many Palestinians, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, are forced off their land by that conflict. So one starting fact is 5.9 million Palestinians are refugees.
But what we don't realize is that what's happening in the Congo is happening in your backyard as well. 6 million people, over 6 million people have died in the Congo because it's the same conflict, right? In the DRC, we have militia groups, we have neighborhood countries, but why are they fighting? Why people die is to get control of our resources.
Join me, Maryann Okon, as we dive deep into the most pressing issues, uncovering the truth and analyzing the impact on a global scale. From the corridors of power in Washington to the bustling streets of Accra, we've got you covered. We'll take you on a journey through different political systems, exploring the challenges and triumphs of the nations near and far. Hear from world leaders, experts, newsmakers, and everyday citizens as they share their perspective, providing a comprehensive overview of the political landscape. Tune in every Thursday, 4 to 5 p.m. on Hard Facts to be a part of the global conversation on 99.3 Nigeria Info. .3 Nigeria Info. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Itimian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. This is Balogun Broad on Hard Facts. I'm Maryann Okon. Today we're going to be talking about the extension of the 2024 budget to December 2025. For those of you who do not know, recently the Senate of the Federal Republic actually, for the second time this year, extended the implementation of the capital component of the 2024 budget to December 31, 2025. Now, the Red Chamber made the resolution during a plenary on Tuesday last week, following the amendment of the appropriation bill requesting an extension. The Deputy Senate President, Barau Jibrin, presided over that plenary and announced the extension of the appropriation bill following its first, second, and third reading, an expeditious passage. Now, the appropriation bill was considered at the Senate Committee on Supply. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, Olamileko Adeola, led the debate during plenary. Now, the reason why we're having this conversation is that there is a 2025 budget, which is also going to be running concurrently with the 2024 budget. I'm not great with numbers. I'm not an economist. And that's why I have my guests joining me to have this conversation. Permit me to introduce my guests properly. I'll start with the good doctor, Dr. Francis Nwani, Dr. Stanley Nwani, I beg your pardon, is of the School of Management and Social Sciences at the Pan-Atlantic University, and he joins us via Zoom. Doctor, it's so good to have you join us, and thank you for joining us at short notice. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Maryann Okon. It's nice to be with you here.
Lovely. Also, our very good friend and economist, Muktah Mohammed, is joining us also via Zoom. Muktah, it's so good to have you join us. We love it that whenever we call on you, you say yes and you jump on our calls. Welcome to the show.
I don't have an option when Maryann calls, I answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to start with you, Doctor. Why has the 2024 budget extended to December 2025, especially when the 2025 budget, like I said earlier on, is already in play?
Okay, thank you very much for this question and for raising this conversation. And of course, within the economic space, you would agree with me that not too many people would know the reason and the importance of this extension, not just for the first time, but for the second time. If I need to do a little background to the 2024 budget in terms of its implementation, the challenge we have, which I think that the government intends to fix with this extension, is the challenge of poor implementation of capital budget. For instance, evidence would have it that as of December 2024, just about 16% of the capital component of the budget was implemented, leaving a whole lot of about 84% uncompleted. And that necessitated the first extension to end of June 2025. But again, at the end of June 2025, with the 2025 budget running, it became imperative to extend till December 2025. So, but in summary of all of these, the necessity for this extension is related to revenue crisis. And the government is also trying to ensure that projects covered in the 2024 budgets were not abandoned. These, I think, necessitated this double extension. Thank you, Maryann.
Yeah, it calls to question a lot of things. I mean, is this an admission by our government that, the 2024 budget was not implemented effectively? Is this a result of poor planning on the part of our leaders? Are we writing budgets and hoping that monies will fall from the sky, or we just write these budgets to fulfill all righteousness and then sing a song at the end of the day to make these members of the National Assembly feel good? Is that it?
Okay, well, that may not necessarily be it. The budget is a very strong physical tool for every economy, and it is very fundamental. If you want to get the economy going, you have to plan your budget very properly. But where I think budget planners and leaders may not have done so well is in terms of revenue projection, especially from the oil sector. As at 2024, when the budget was proposed, over 60% of the revenue inflow expected to come from the oil sector. Unfortunately, the oil sector couldn't meet up with its revenue projection. So data and statistics also have it that the revenue performance for oil exports and the sales stood at 72% of projections, which means that there was a shortfall. And the shortfall would first affect the capital expenditure very significantly. Usually, salaries, debt services are no options. Government would have to meet those obligations. And therefore, the only component that always suffer this is the capital component. But again, if this has been happening over time, when do we face the reality of having reasonable projections in terms of revenue? And this is where Nigerians have been calling, economists have been calling for diversification. We should not rely on oil because we don't have control over what we get from it. For instance, projections in terms of the oil production daily is in deficit. Crude oil prices before now has fallen short of our projected budget line of $75 per barrel. But again, with the Israeli and Iranian crisis, it has jumped to about 78, which is good for us. But again, the ordinary Nigerian feels the effect because if you go to the pump stations today, you see that prices are rising. So I think that the government shouldn't sleep on this. Not that they are sleeping, but they shouldn't sleep on it. We should become more realistic about our revenue forecast and be able to diversify our revenue basis so that we can get resources from other parts. 60% expectation from oil sector is really over dependence on oil. We need to diversify to other resources.
I'm going to come back to you on that. Let me come to Muktah. Muktah, the audience, obviously, my people, is a mixed audience. They're intellectuals. They're those who want to know what it is in Naira and Kobo. Break it down for me to understand. How do you clarify to my audience how these two budgets are going to run side by side concurrently without any problems? Of course, we already know that this is a problem that has led us to extending this budget implementation twice in a row. Explain to my audience in the simplest form how this is going to work.
Miriam, I wish I can really explain to your audience in the simplest form what this will mean. Because I, as an economist, too, I'm sitting down here, I'm confused. Because it has never happened before where a country will be running two budgets concurrently. But again, what it means for the ordinary Nigerian is the same thing that it has always meant. It means that politicians and political appointees, they will still have their allowances, they will still have their money, but the Nigerians, the project that will affect Nigerians, that can provide job for them, that can help them grow their business, is the one that will suffer, and that's what has been happening over the years. If you talk, so what will happen to the average Nigerian is that your business is going to suffer, and what will happen also to the downtrodden is that you are going to be seeing fluctuation in a lot of activities that you thought could help you grow your business. So in a layman language, it's just having two budgets running concurrently is a recipe for disaster. And so I'm confused. I've never heard it before.
I'm also thinking in pictures and in numbers how ministries, departments, agencies are going to be managing dual allocations. Or is there even monies that will be allocated if one has not even finished being implemented? Just as you're sounding confused, I guess that the audience is still also confused, but we need to make sense of it.
Miriam, if you listen to the members of the House, you realize that they were more or less like talking about contractors not being paid. Some of these budgets do not have cash backing. And so what it means is that when your project has been approved, you go to the civil servants, they will tell you that, well, it has been approved, but there's no cash backing. So that what it means is that what do you call it in local parlance? Sometimes they say that maybe it's missed call. So it's more or less like you see it's our idea in the papers. They said, okay, this is a project we want to do this and that, and you are surprised why this project are not being implemented because nobody is paying them. There's no cash backing. So that's what it means. And most of the challenges why you see that happen it always happen for capital project, not for recurrent expenditure. There's always no cash backing to back up whatever they want to do because, again, like my colleagues say, this backing are supposed to come based on revenue. And if you are not getting those revenue projection, how do you not decide to back such project? Then you as a government, you are not looking outside the box like what is done in developed economy of the world, whereby most of these economies are now being large major projects being driven by PPP, public-private partnership. So I don't see any reason why I don't see what business government have in constructing a Calabar coastal route all the way from Lagos to Calabar, when they can easily give it to private people to construct, build, and operate, and government use those scarce resources to develop other social investment like health and education that will have lasting impact on the overall life of their citizens. That's what is done globally. If you remember the American infrastructural bill that was passed during the time of President Joe Biden, you realize that bill was largely driven by the private sector in terms of improving their infrastructure. So government was just to stand and to create that enabling environment in terms of policies, in terms of decisions, and in terms of making sure that those projects see the light of the day. So I think we are still living in those era whereby politicians simply determine the project so that they can tell their their constituency that this is what we are doing, this is what we have done. We have brought project to your doorway, even if that project is supposed to be a national project. So until we get to that way where Nigerians are able to understand the difference between projects that have impact on their life and projects that are politically motivated projects.
Let me push you further before I go back to the good doctor. I want to talk about economic risks that we might run, with these two dual budgets that we're running. Also, our country we've had a double-digit inflation, the highest that we've ever seen. let's talk about the inflationary pressure that our economy is going to face. Let's talk about the inefficiencies of government, ministries, departments, and agencies. It's not like they were efficient to start with. Also, the risk of fiscal indiscipline, across, the different government bodies. How is this going to affect our economy in the long run?
Let me start with the last one, physical indiscipline. I think that has been our major challenge. And we have to ask ourselves, how did we get to this type of situation whereby we are running two budgets concurrently? It's because we tend to do things globally that we are not prepared. I keep saying it's like a company. You need to put in your year end. Before now, we used to have a year end, which was like a bit like December. But it's almost that we cannot be able to achieve it because budgets are presented sometime in November. The National Assembly will just rush to pass it without cash backing, without thorough looking into whether we have those revenue. They look at revenue projection is not based on reality, it's based on assumption. And then you don't get the revenue that you need. So definitely that is why we're there. So that's physical rascality, whereby you just sit down in the morning and come say and tell us in your budget presentation, you want to move your crude oil production from 1.5 that you're struggling to meet to 2.06 million barrel per day. And then you now base your oil benchmark at $75 per barrel. And today oil is doing $65 per barrel. It's not only the challenge that you are not even meeting the price violation in your budget, but also that you cannot even meet your production level. So that tells you that there is no cash to mark up. When you talk about physical or monetary or the
inflationary pressures, I'm talking about the inflationary pressures and inefficiencies of these civil servants. Yes.
Look, Maryann, let's forget about inflationary pressure. We know what is causing inflationary pressure. It's not pressure. It's not the budget passing today that will bring down inflation. We know why we are where we are today. So we definitely in a sane society where they know what budget will be able to bring down inflation. How? Because you now look at your exchange rate and you'll be able to say this is going to be the exchange rate. Not that in the budgetary, you say your exchange rate is going to be 1,500. Exchange rate of 1,500. We are now in July, and yet your exchange rate has done the lowest since you presented the budget of 1,525 officially. That is in the official window. So you are still struggling to balance. Also, the inflationary pressure that we have is largely driven by FX volatility. I keep saying it. Once you bring that exchange rate down, then the pressure will come because again, majority of what we consume we import. Even when we are not importing the machineries to put them into finished product, we import those machineries. So definitely you see those challenges. So if you want to make sure that how do we make sure that we deal with inflation? Stabilize exchange rate, make liquidity available in the parallel and the official market. The exchange rate will prevent inflation will naturally go down, not using rebasing to bring down inflation. Okay. It's only in Nigeria that we see that, or using to make your naira look good. You say now your naira is competitive. Whose economy talks about competitiveness of their naira rather than stability? So when you are doing that,
we have to go on a break. We have to go on a break. We have to go on a quick break. We'll be right back. A quick break.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
Success is like an aeroplane. You only see the graceful flight high up in the sky, but not the roaring powerful engines propelling it. Likewise, in the world of e-payments, you only see transactions done, funds remitted. But who pioneered these financial technology solutions? Well, you knew it as Value Card, now Unified Payments, Nigeria's premier financial technology service provider. Yes, it starts here. Find out more at www.up-ng.com. Unified Payments, unifying businesses for people.
right, class. Settle down. Today, let's talk about how you started your day.
We got dressed and had pancakes with John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate for breakfast.
My mom makes John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate for us too.
My mom calls it instant goodness. My sister and I always put it inside our pap. It's so yummy.
John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate is a chocolate drink made of rich cocoa, milk, and sugar. Available nationwide in stores. John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate. Enjoy instant goodness.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development and the care they need with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics to help your child's digestion and development, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. And all of these work together to support your child's development and growth today and tomorrow. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
Hey there, mums and dads. Did you know that some children are picky eaters and also do not get enough fruits and vegetables from their diet? Well Kid Baby and Infant Syrup is a food supplement from Vitabiotics that contains 14 vitamins and minerals, including vitamin C and zinc, as well as flaxseed oil, which supports brain development and all-round health. Well Kid Baby and Infant Tasty Syrup is for children 3 months to 5 years of age. Give your young ones a good start with Well Kid Baby and Infant from Vitabiotics UK. Available in pharmacies near you.
Success is like a big mansion. You only see the magnificent edifice, not the strong foundation that holds it. Likewise, in the world of e-payments, you only see transactions done and funds remitted. But who pioneered these financial technology solutions? Well, you knew it as ValueCard, now Unified Payments, Nigeria's premier financial technology service provider. Yes, it starts here. Find out more at www.up-ng.com.
Unified Payments, unifying businesses for people.
When you chop better breakfast with the new Peak Dairy Creamer, your belly go full. Full belly means say morning waka go well. When morning waka go well, it means say your day go good.
Oga, this new Peak Dairy Creamer, the same with Peak Full Cream?
No, Peak Dairy Creamer na from skimmed milk for tea and coffee only. While the Peak Full Cream milk na ogbonge milk from cow's whole milk.
Taste breakfast goodness with the new Peak Dairy Creamer at 130 Naira only.
Peak. Reach for your peak.
No be party jollof this thing.
I beg, make nothing hungry you again today.
I am pregnant wife they follow talk so.
Neighbor, I beg.
I beg neighbor, just one spoon.
No wahala.
Chef, what can be your secret?
Now, Mr. Chef Seasoning Powder. Mr. Chef Seasoning Powder. Get spicy stew, cooked meat, fried rice, and roasted beef from great aroma to great taste.
Elevate every meal with Mr. Chef Seasoning Powder. Chef.
Hey, my people, it all set again. One heavy sound where they rise from the soil of Africa.
Are you ready?
Now, 2025, the African Praise Experience, where they come with fire. Now, Friday, July 11th, now 8 p.m. sharp. Now, the Rock Cathedral, Lekki, Lagos. Heaven go open, worship go scatter everywhere. Now, Pastor Paul Adefarasi going to lead the night, and he bring serious men and women of God. Israel Houghton, Dusi Noyeko, Nathaniel Bassi, Adenika Alasha Yori, Onos, Prince Emmanuel, Bidemi Olaoba, BJ Sax, Eben, Gessi Baba, Mr. Emma Revelation, Limo Blaze, Ima Oh My God, Minister GUC, IB Quake, LMGC. You can miss anything, but this one, I beg no carry last. 2025, he go to choke.
What can your bank do for you?
Meet Jane, 25 years old. She's been having troubles acquiring a loan from her bank.
This is not okay at all. I've been on this queue forever, and you're saying I should fill another form. What's going on?
What can your bank do for you?
Meet Frank, 27 years old, held up in traffic and making fruitless transactions.
Mama, I have sent the airtime, even the electricity charges. I don't know why it's so difficult making this payment.
In Introducing Safri, a lifestyle digital bank that's designed just for you. With one click, you can make easy and fast payment transactions, pay bills, and even acquire easy loans. Hurry and download the Safri app on your Play Store. Visit safrisafri.com for more information. Safri, borderless banking.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is Hot Fact with Maryann Okon.
It's still Balogun Broad on Hard Facts 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in It's Me and Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. I am Maryann Okon, Muktah, Mohammed, and Stanley Nwani, Dr. Stanley Nwani, both joining us on Balogun Broad as we look at the situation in which we have two budgets running concurrently together. And of course, the National Assembly has given excuses and reasons as to why this is our present condition and situation. And we're trying to make sense of it and, of course, trying to understand how this might impact our lives, maybe negatively or positively. Before we went on the break, we were talking about, the inefficiencies of, ministries, departments and agencies as a result of what's happening. We've also talked about, the inflationary pressures and, of course, the fiscal indiscipline that this also comes with. Muktah, before we went on that quick break, you wanted to address the final aspect of it, and then we can go back to Dr. Nwani.
Yeah, the final aspect of it has to do with the civil servants. Like you and I know, when it comes to Nigerian civil servants, there are a lot of issues that are involved. And sometimes you don't even blame it on the civil servant. Budget padding is always an issue, and implementation of the budget. If you have a civil service that cannot guarantee you even 40% of your budget, then that shows that a lot of things is wrong. It's either with the government in terms of their planning, or that the civil servants are not properly trained. But I don't think the civil servants are not properly trained. I think most of them are just when you have challenges like this, when you create chaos in the system, it gives room for a lot of corrupt tendency, and I think they enjoy it. Because when you have two budgets running concurrently, you as a contractor will have to be going to the civil servants ministry and parastatals virtually every day to make sure that let my own be part of those that you get what I'm saying, that my own project should be about those that will have cash backing. And that doesn't just come with just you going there to tell them. You have to come up with one thing or the other. So I think the government itself is the one that is creating that vacuum. And once you create that vacuum, the civil servants will capitalize on it.
Let me come back to you, Dr. Stanley Nwani. Let's talk about Nigeria's debt profile, which is, I like to call it an elephant in the room. It might not be the elephant, but it is an elephant in the room. How will this situation affect our debt profile, especially as our debt servicing already consumes about 90% of our revenue in some quarters? How will this affect us?
Okay, that's a very good question. So let me take it from TAR. In terms of the risk, the macroeconomic risk of two budgets running concurrently. And one of these areas of macroeconomic effect is in macro stability, macro instability. So, and he has discussed the inflationary part. So the debt part is very important. We're going to see growing public debt, because if you're using the revenue inflow to finance 2024 budget, what happens to the projects in the 2025 budgets? It means you have to borrow more. And if you're borrowing more, it means that you have to repay with high debt service ratio. As we speak, our debt to GDP ratio is still within the threshold of 5%, which is the internationally recognized threshold for developing countries. But if you are not careful, with these two budgets running concurrently, it may go out of that threshold. And that will mean a lot of strain, further strains on our resources. We have already accumulated enough debt, and that is showing for us to have had the 2025 proposed budget, allocating 33% of its expenditure to debt servicing. That is huge enough. We need no further public debt contraction. And therefore, if we're not careful with this concurrent budgeting, that is the direction we are going. So we've got to be careful as a country.
does this also create room for, more inflated spending, off-record borrowing, or even hidden deficits that we may not? It probably would take decades for us to uncover.
Oh, very good. Of course, definitely, there is a positive relationship between inflation and public debt. Whenever there's what we call pump priming, which means government trying to spend so much to achieve certain economic issues. And I tell you this, if we're not careful, this would cause further inflation. We've seen that in the past 3 months, prices of stable goods came down very, partially. But I tell you,
relatively
within the
low.
last 3 weeks, yes, within the last 3 weeks, it's been going up. If you go to the markets today, a bag of rice is about 75,000. We used to buy 60, 62, 63 in the last 2-3 months. Prices are heading north again. There will be inflationary tendencies. Beyond inflationary tendencies, this is going to dent our credit ratings as well, because international agencies will no longer know which of the budget procedures that Nigeria follows. This is going to affect our transparency. It's going to bring about risk in terms of accountability. It's going to bring about the questioning of how credible our budget process is. And if all of these are the perception of the international community, then we may have issues with assessing international finance, and our foreign direct investment and even portfolio investment may be affected. And that may have a lot of impact on economic growth. The growth rate we have recorded in the first half of this year is very significant. At least we have about 3.7% growth rate, very significant. But if we're not careful with these new dynamics, we may have issues with tepid economic growth. All of these may also lead to something very important, which is our ability to meet legal positions. Lawyers may put this better. Extending these budgets to 2025, which means having 2 budgets running, does it not contradict our financial legal system? Does it or does it not? Maybe a lawyer would also analyze this better from the legal perspective, because this could have a lot of legal implication, despite the fact that the National Assembly has given its oversight and approval of the extension.
Muktah, let's talk about capital projects and development. And I'll toss also a similar question to the doctor. This extension, as much as, the National Assembly has made an argument, the executive has made an argument on its behalf, the National Assembly is saying it's meant to salvage, uncompleted capital projects. But then there are those who are saying also that, look, it's more about unspent recurrent expenditure. But what impact will it have on procurement processes, auditing and performance, and even evaluation of MDAs?
Okay, thank you, Maryann. Let me answer. I'm not a lawyer, but let me answer, doctor, whether the legal implication. There's already a legal implication, because we passed, remember that the National Assembly passed a law that said that the previous budget can run for 6 months. So it was supposed to run for 6 months, and by June, you must make sure that the real budget is running. So there's already a legal implication. And this current National Assembly did not give us any constitutional mandate or saying that we are voting. They say they have extended it. I don't think they added it constitutionally to say, okay, it's now 1 year a budget can run. That means you have to have that vote and everything. But I don't think they did that. But you never can tell. By the time you bring this up to you, they will come out with a document that says that they have really done that. So you can't say when it comes to this current National Assembly led by Maryann's uncle. You can always see this.
I'm sorry. What do you mean? He's not my uncle. We have no relations whatsoever. He's the president of the Senate. He's not from my area. I refuse to come from his area.
Cross River State or Akwa Ibom, all are one.
It has nothing to do with that.
Then you're talking about the second question has to do with you're talking about capital projects.
Yes, procurement, all of those things.
Maryann, I'm a student of history, so when it comes to economy, first of all, I go to the history part. Remember the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. We realized that what the civil servants do those days was that they will make sure that there's no implementation of the budget till towards end of the financial year. and those money they will make sure that those money are released, and those money will now be shared within the directors or the ministry personnel. You remember the popular story of the then Minister of Health, which also happened, and she resigned her appointment based on that. So that was why President Obasanjo now said that any budget, they now pass it, that any budget that does not conclude a financial year, whether with cash backing or not, should be returned back to the Federation account.
But who follows that money? I don't think it's a question that you can answer, but who follows the money to make sure that those monies are returned to the state coffers?
It's me and you. We are supposed to follow, we have the Freedom of Information Bill to know whether those monies were returned. But again, now what we are saying is that we are back to that level whereby we are running two budgets concurrently, like Doctor said. So where is the cash going to come from? Which one are we going to really pay attention to? So do we have the cash? But remember again, what people are not even saying now, what they are not saying, that the 2024 budget exchange rate was different from
compared to that of 2025. Absolutely, I agree with you.
So how do you now merge those two? If a project that is foreign related, you can't say you must implement it by 2024 exchange rate because you have brought it to 2025. And the exchange rate is about 1,500 official plus your budget benchmark exchange rate. In 2024, I think it was lower than that. So you have now, what you begin to see is what we call budget variation, whereby they will now say, okay, at this year, this was supposed to be the price, and this is now the new price. So definitely it's not a good situation.
Okay.
Because again, if you cannot handle 1 year budget, how do you now want to handle 2 years budget? And again, with the lack of cash to back it in terms of your revenue for trouble. I'm not a student like Doctor that thinks, I'm an economic student that thinks that, oh, your GDP is good, you still have the threshold to borrow as much as you have because of your GDP 5%. And what I normally ask is it your GDP you use to pay the top budget or your revenue? So the bottom line is borrow as much as you can because your GDP is low. That is not the GDP that will pay, it's the revenue.
Okay.
As long as your revenue cannot pay, then you are putting the economy. You are putting, whether it's a company, whether it's a nation, you are walking on a time road of financial disaster.
Okay. Doctor, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Then we open up the phone lines because Nigerians are itching to be part of this conversation. It's a very interesting conversation. Unfortunately, many people don't understand how deep this situation this is. And thank goodness we're having this conversation. I'm also learning a lot as the conversation continues. Still talking about, transparency and governance, an issue that Muktah has raised. How will this affect budget tracking by civil society? Because, I asked him a question, who follows the money? And he says, us. How will this whole dual or concurrent budgeting affect tracking by civil society? The media, us, and the Office of the Auditor General. We can't leave them out of it. Do we currently have the capacity and the political will to monitor the effective execution of these two overlapping budgets? If you can help me technically answer this in 2 minutes, I would be appreciative.
Okay, thank you very much for this. It is really technical, but just to say that it is the responsibility of every Nigerian, the civil society, the media, to carry out this monitoring. However, there is a limit to which you can have access to information, definitely, and that's a serious barrier. Okay, I tell you this, that it may be very difficult, even for those implementing the two budgets, to keep track of what belongs to 2024 and what belongs to 2025 budgets. It's difficult for them.
Wow.
But with the aid of digital tracking systems, this may become easy for Nigeria to implement. Do we have those? Maybe somebody in the Ministry of Finance or Budget and National Planning could answer the question. But manually, mechanically, we lack the will, politically, economically, even the human resources to do the tracking, except we should be aided with digital devices. Developed nations have adopted digital ways of tracking budgets, even at the firm level. Big financial institutions, multinational organizations have digital ways of tracking their budgets because they want to know where their money goes to and how productive the resource is. And as a nation, it may be quite unfortunate that we have not gotten to the era of digitizing our budget, and therefore tracking two budgets concurrently may be very, very unrealistic. And this is a problem. It gives room for corrupt practices. It gives room for sharp practices. And at the end of the day, even the objective of the extension may be defeated.
I want to bring Lagos into this conversation. In case you're just joining us, this is Balogun and Broad. This is a business and economy segment on Hard Facts, and we're live on Facebook and on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, your comments. Because I have very limited time, I have about 7 minutes. I'd like to take everybody's thoughts in 30 seconds. Please put it together. Go straight to the point. We know it's a good evening. Just go straight to the point and tell us your thoughts. 0201 277 0993. That's 0201 277 0993. For the ladies, 0201 465 7190. And on WhatsApp, it's 080 75805. Welcome to Balogun and Broad.
Good evening, Dr. Maryann Okon. My name is Godwin calling from Flapway.
You have 30 seconds. Go ahead, please.
Yes, your analysts, they've done a great job, and the professionalism in them is well explained. The truth there remains that except we decide to romance the truth, it goes to show that the people involved, they seem not to know the right thing to do, and that is what has brought us into this quagmire we have found ourselves economically and otherwise. The National Assembly, they got their vehicle FUG at 150, 200. So why would they bother about whatever comes again? So it is Nigerians and ordinary Nigeria that will suffer it. It's inefficiency and incapability on the part of people responsible for the carrying out of those jobs that have brought us. So it's an unfortunate situation, and except by
Thank
the
you
grace
very much
of
for
God.
calling. 30 seconds. I told you 30 seconds, please. 60 seconds is not available today. 30 seconds, go straight to the point. Hello.
From where I'm standing here, Jonathan is my name.
Okay.
I know that budgets are tied to our crude. I stand to be corrected. And if you are running two budgets, I think, Maryann, it's understandable why this leadership is piling a lot of pressure on us out here. Because they cannot tell me that they can finance two budgets at the same time. Where would they get the finances if not putting it on all of us out here? And that is what is playing out. And that is why exactly I am not in support of this leadership. Because you can see, how can you run two budgets? Where did you get the money from? It's not that they're not putting it on us.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan, for calling. 60 seconds is all you have. 0201 277 0993. For the ladies, 0201 465 7190. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Maryann. Yeah, good evening to your guests as well.
30 seconds.
Boyes and calling from Afromedia. Let me just say it as it is. It is rather unfortunate that we have a kind of National Assembly, the way they call themselves. It is very, very unfortunate. The National Assembly that cannot work for the people, they're only there to work they are just there for their selfish end and work for the president as well. It is a shame. It's a shame.
Thank you very much, Boyerson, for calling. 0201 277 0993. Don't forget, you can join the conversation on our Facebook and YouTube Live. We'd like to hear your questions, your comments. I still have Dr. Stanley Nwani and Muktah Mohammed, both economists, explaining the situation and the process to us. But how does this make you feel? Hello.
Maryann, good evening.
Good evening.
Again, my name is
Ambrose, go ahead. 30 seconds.
Maryann, the last time I checked, we have the three arms of government. So why is it that it is the executive now that is controlling both the National Assembly and the judiciary? This budget, Buhari government, as lame duck as we said they were, they did everything possible to reverse it to the normal thing. Now, this government has gone back again to the status quo. then tomorrow now they will tell us this government is working.
All right, we have to let you go.
They are working tirelessly.
Thank you very much for calling. 30 seconds is all you have. Please keep to time. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I just tuned in now. I was working since, so I just called. Let me just greet you.
Okay, thank you very much for greeting me. Have a good evening. Please listen and just enjoy the conversation. You can send me a message to greet me. We're trying to take as many calls as we can before we wrap things up here. I want to quickly go to WhatsApp and read some messages before we wrap things up. This one here says, good job. Okay. We actually have 3 budgets at the same time in 2024. Number one, 2023 rolled forward, 2024 budget, and then the supplementary budget. So when my brother said it has not been done before, I couldn't help laughing. Thank you very much, Jide, for your message. Another person here says, below are the dangers of running 2 budgets concurrently in Nigeria: confusion in implementation, duplication of projects, double allocation provides room for embezzlement, ghost projects, and misreporting. And that is serious corruption. It is indeed unfortunate. This is from Pastor Biodun in Agor Palace. Thank you very much, Pastor, for your message. This one says, let's see. Okay. This person is just giving us his own analysis. This one's Tayo from Aja says, I miss the administration of former Senate President Bukola Saraki. This kind of budget won't fly, he says. Gentlemen, because I have just 1 minute, I'll let you both split it in 30 seconds. Where do we go from here in 30 seconds? Because the clock is ticking. Muktah.
Where do we go from here?
Yes.
I wonder where we go from here. But again, we'll go somewhere. At the end of the day, the budget will not be implemented. We'll not have budget implementation to up to like 10 or even 20%. And then we'll be back to the status quo. Maybe when we are back to the status quo, we'll be able to plan well.
Wow. Dr. Stanley?
Okay. Well, the advice is let's be more prudent as a people. Let's be reoriented. Those at the helm of affairs, controlling resources, should know that leadership is a call for service. It is not to enrich themselves or their families. They must put national interest above personal interest. If we have all of these in perspective, we would not have a case where you have a budget padding, double allocation, 3 budgets or 2 running concurrently with limited, resource inflow. Let us do better as a people, then we can do well as a nation. Thank you.
I want to say thank you. Dr. Stanley Wani is of the School of Management and Social Sciences at the Pan-Atlantic University, and Muktah Mohammed is our economist and a friend of the house. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as we have heard, Lagos, the extension of Nigeria's 2024 budget into December 2025 may be more than just a technical adjustment. From what my guests have said, it raises deep concerns about planning, execution, accountability, and the future of public finance in our country. So running 2 national budgets side by side is not just unprecedented, it is a stress test for our institutions, our economy, and our collective political will. So, will this extension help us catch up on critical infrastructure and developmental goals, or will it deepen our culture of poor execution and fiscal waste? That depends on the transparency of the process as we look at our National Assembly. All eyes on the National Assembly. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO, or just search for Maryann Okon. I love you, Lagos. I'll see you tomorrow on Hard Facts. Have a good evening.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
Imagine a world without communication, a world without emergency calls, disconnected businesses, and unreachable families. Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it